Beam me up, Scotty.
Did anybody ever tell you the camera loves you, Frohickey?
Yeah, the arresting officers at the Free James Brown rally.
So what's this costing the taxpayers, Mulder?
About $150 an hour.
Ouch! Almost as much as Bill Clinton's haircuts. If that's the lovely Agent Scully, let her know I've been working out. I'm buff.
Hello and welcome to episode 46 of Most Unwanted and X-Files podcast. I'm Luke.
And I'm Chex.
Welcome to the news at 1838 with me.
Luke. And I'm Chex.
Yeah, maybe I should loosen up on that one.
Loosen up. Go on then, let's do it. We
All right,
do it.
welcome to episode 46 probably.
You know, he needs more slang terms.
Yeah, but Most Unwanted. It's probably an X-Files podcast.
Oh, that's whack, man.
I think I'm Luke. Is that loose? No?
That's loose enough. That's loose enough. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was cool. That was cool,
That's
man.
good, yeah. Cool. Man, how old do we sound?
I know, yeah. Do you think people know how old we are?
Give me a date of birth.
Sorry?
I need social security number.
Well, you've mentioned your date of birth before, to be fair.
Have I? Oh yeah, I said it was my birthday,
Yeah.
So yeah, you can work out.
How's your week been? Or how's your week going to be?
Nothing really to report. It's one of those weeks where it's the post. What is it now? February. It's going to be March.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm going to my girlfriend's mum and dad's house for
Oh, nice.
I don't know what we're doing. I can't even remember now. I think it's just
Visiting the family.
Yeah, I think it's just we've got a weekend. I've got the Monday off, so. Yeah.
Well, we're going out tonight.
We are, yes.
We're going out tonight. We're feeling all
We're going
right.
out.
We're gonna have a real good time.
We're going out, but we're sort of going in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're going out with friends.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing. We're having a few beers and going out with friends.
It's our.
So we thought we'd just record beforehand, save time.
Yeah.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah. We're going around having a few beers and playing some old retro games. I think. So
Yes,
we haven't done that in a while, have we?
He basically our friend. I don't think he listens to the show. He's not a big sci-fi fan, is he?
No. He's
So
not
yeah,
really.
but our friend anyway. He was clearing out all of his old stuff, and he came across all of his old game consoles, and he said, "Let's give it one last hurrah." So yeah, order some food, have a few beers. It'll be a fun night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
He's got an interesting version of playing Mario Kart, which I'd be very interested to play, called Beerio Kart. So.
Oh, I
shall
forgot
see.
about
We
that.
shall see
Yeah,
how
the
that one
drinking
goes,
game.
I'm
Yeah.
a bit worried because I've brought my Nintendo 64 controllers, and we can do an on-air test of this. Keep talking. I'm still here. Guys.
Okay. Luke's rummaging through a bag as we speak.
So
And-
fill the stick on that.
Oh, that doesn't feel great.
It feels a bit loose, doesn't it?
It feels like it's always going to be veering right.
So I did test them out. I'm talking loud so you can hopefully
Yeah,
hear me.
this is going to sound awful. So I'm really
it's
sorry,
fine.
guys.
It's fine. I did test them out, but I'm a bit worried. They sort of. I was playing GoldenEye, and some worked perfectly, and then sometimes others would sort of
Jitter.
They wouldn't jitter, but they'd sort of be a bit slow to start. So I think once you get going, it's fine. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's
all a bit of fun. It's fine.
I don't think we're playing a competition.
No,
so.
no, it's not. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But
before that, wait there. Why am I hosting?
Yeah, this is my show. Get off. You had your turn. Before that, we
Don't just copy what I said.
don't just copy what I said.
Oh, that's real mature.
No, you grow up. I was watching In-Betweeners 2 the other day.
Oh yeah.
The bit where he's just walking away. No, you grow up.
Yeah.
I'm grown up. You grow up. So yeah. So I'm copying In-Betweeners 2.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing now.
Why not?
Why not? That's a very British thing, isn't it? Do you think In-Betweeners ever
They had the American version, didn't they?
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
It wasn't.
No,
It wasn't good. I think it got cancelled after the first episode.
The only like sort of English TV show that sort of had a really good American conversion was The Office, from what I can remember.
Yeah, The
That
American
was
Office was fantastic.
That sort of, but it was because it veered off into its own thing from the sound.
Yeah, the first season wasn't great because it was just like a like-for-like replica. It was literally following the same script. It was only when it took on its own sort of style that it really just came into its own. I actually prefer it to The English Office.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It is a really good show.
I've never watched it, but anyway, yeah.
It's one of those shows where you can just pop it on and it's just half-hour episodes. You can just pop it on while you're having something to eat or, just before you go up to bed or something like that. It's good. It's fun.
Well, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, I suppose we might as well get into the episode for this week.
On with the show!
So this was episode 18, titled Fearful Symmetry.
Towards the end now.
I know, yeah. It's surprising how quickly we've gone
This-
through this series.
This season 2 has gone a lot faster than season 1. I don't know whether do you think it's because it's better? Do you think it's better?
I think it's a stronger season than 1.
I reckon so as well.
Yeah, like the actual episodes that we've seen
So far,
so
at least,
far,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
You watch them all be terrible
Give
from
me
now
an
on.
absolute shiter at the end, but we'll see. But anyway, yeah. So this one's entitled "Fearful Symmetry." It was directed by James Whitmore Jr., written by Steve DeJarnette or DeJarnette. I don't know if it's French or not. The original air date was February the 24th, 1995. So we start at Idaho Mutual Insurance Trust in Fairfield, Idaho.
Yeah.
There are two janitors who are cleaning this sort of like lobby area. Listen to the radio, and the younger one of the janitors,
He's getting into it.
Yeah, he's having a dance with his mop.
Yeah.
Old guys. He's not sold on it. The younger guy is called Roberto, but that doesn't really come into it.
No, you don't have to worry about that.
No.
The old guy is such a stick in the mud. Like, at the end of the day, it's
the
a
most
night
stereotypical
shift.
stick in the mud. And
Yeah, it's a night shift. Like, it's not the end of the world if you're having a dance. He's still mopping. He's still doing his job.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There's always people like that.
Jobs worth. That's what they're called. Jobs worth.
There's always one, and anywhere you work, who just
you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I was just going to
Sod off, Dave.
It sounded quite barbed there. I was just going to recount a story, but I think you never know. Anyone could listen to it. And I was like, better not.
No. Tell us.
Okay. So, a guy...
Don't use names.
I won't use names. A man at my work... the cleaners basically put...
God.
That's an example of this type of person.
Yeah, it's definitely that type of person.
But anyway, this older guy, he's telling off Roberto for dancing. He says God is watching and points at the CCTV. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that type of person.
The older guy is smoking. This is a long time ago where you could also smoke on the job.
Yeah, flicking ash everywhere.
Yeah,
the guy's
cleaning,
dancing. Yeah. The guy's dancing. He's mopping the floor and then flicking ash. If anyone should be ashamed of how they're working, it's him.
It's that guy. Oh, I don't know.
I like how for people at home, I'm pointing to the right of me, and no one's there. But I'm imagining he's on the floor. Oh.
Cleaning now. Yeah, your mind's eye. But yeah, he sort of. To be honest, I did find this quite interesting, the way that he sort of balances his cigarette on the end, and this is how we notice that the ground is rumbling.
Yeah.
My mind instantly flashed to Jumanji.
You weren't far off.
Well, to be fair, I'm saying this in hindsight.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I don't know if I thought of that at the time, but...
I just thought earthquake.
Yeah. Could very well be.
Yeah.
And they look up, and we see that the front window is just smashed in.
Yeah.
There's nothing flying through the window or anything like that. They run to see what it is, and they see various objects on this street, like a car and lampposts, be smashed and knocked aside. We then cut to some workers, or some road workers, who are enjoying a coffee.
Yeah.
And they all notice this rumbling, and they notice that some warning signs are being knocked aside. And we see one of the workers who's standing in this path of signs be knocked into the air. And then we hear I don't know what the term is, an elephant's roar? Do they roar?
They don't. They toot.
Toot. That doesn't seem threatening enough. A call, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, we hear this elephant noise. A bit weird.
Yeah, strange.
Bit strange. I'm trying to add the suspense here now.
Yeah.
After I've given the Jumanji part away.
It's a stampede.
Yeah.
That's a great film.
Jumanji it's just family fun.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I've heard I've not watched it, but I've heard the new one's really
The
good
Rock,
as well.
Yeah. It looked terrible, but then the reviews came in and it was like, it's like pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I've heard like it's really good. Like not even just it's a stand-up film. I've heard it was like genuinely very good, so I do want to watch it.
It's the same. Do you know what? This is off a tangent, but it's a good place to start.
Yeah, let's do it.
Stars with me to go on. The Rock's last two films seem to have been like that, where they looked absolutely awful in trailers, and then they've come out. Like his new one, he's done that fighting with the family. Yeah, I remember the clips they kept showing for that was just
it looked awful. Yeah, but I think the thing is the reason why the Rock films always look bad is because their sole way of advertising the film is, look, it's The Rock.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
And so it doesn't portray the film, it just goes, look who's in it, and it's like The Rock being The Rock. But then he is a genuinely good actor.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't get enough credit for that. So I mean, don't get me wrong, he's had some stinkers, but I've heard the last couple of films have been alright.
Yeah, this new one that he's doing is apparently the reviews are all
really good.
So, and he's barely in it. It's funny. Yeah. He's in all the adverts for it, and he's barely in it. He's in about 3 scenes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
as I say, it sells films, and you know what I mean. Like, not unfortunately, but in that way,
as well. Yeah. The advertisers have to do their jobs.
They do
their jobs, so.
Like these workers do.
Well, exactly.
Talking about the workers.
One of them is on the floor, badly hurt from being knocked into the air by this unseen force.
Yeah.
They call for an ambulance. We then see. It's sort of in the daytime now, because that was at the night. We see a trucker who's calling in about his delivery that he's a bit late for. And he's driving in the mist. And out of the mist, we see an elephant.
Yeah.
Just coming out of nowhere.
X-Files budget, man.
I know, yeah.
Like, this is a real elephant.
Exactly, yeah. It's the stuff later on as well. Like, we'll get into the production notes later on, but I've read through them. It's really impressive what they actually get done in this episode.
I was shocked. Do you think they had like some sort of deal where like you buy 100 frogs, you get a free elephant? Yeah. Like, bloody hell, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've written an episode. It is a bit out of left field, this one. I mean, we'll get into the overall plot later on, but yeah, an elephant just comes out of nowhere. This guy slams the brakes on, and he stops just in time as the elephant's sort of looking through the cab window. Yeah. It walks around and actually looks at him straight in the eye, moves on down the road. We then see a bit later on some police speeding towards the scene, and we now see this elephant who's lying in the road. She's groaning, and like a crowd's gathered around it. A girl's crying, and another goes up to comfort the animal as it dies, basically.
Yeah.
And then we go into the opening credits. What do you think of the opening?
Strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Very weird, yeah.
I was shocked when I saw the elephant. Again, I suppose I just, especially at the time, I just couldn't imagine like how they would get not like, I don't know, the budget or even the sort of the permission to film with an elephant. I don't know. But yeah, it was strange. I was interested to see where it went.
You'll be very interested in the production
notes. I'm looking forward to that.
But anyway, we get to the next scene, and we see Scully outside this mutual trust building we saw earlier, interviewing the janitors, and they explain that they saw nothing.
Yeah.
Scully tells Mulder that they did see nothing as he climbs through the window pane, and Mulder says that the CCTV shows the same. The worker that we saw get hit was killed. Apparently his spine was broken, and he had an elephant footprint on his chest. So, man, that's painful.
At what point, how do you know that there's an elephant footprint on your chest?
I mean, they've got a distinctive foot shape, I suppose, you know what I mean? Or do you just think he'd just be mashed into...
Yeah, like it just...
I imagine you're like a tube of toothpaste if an elephant stood on you, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry to be very graphic there. But yeah, I can't imagine it goes well for
No.
him against an elephant. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Unless it's like
I'll go with it.
Unless it's like a comical, like he's there with the like a cartoon, like SpongeBob or something.
He has to put his thumb in his mouth and blow himself back out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's wacky.
X-Files, it wouldn't have the same feel to it.
No. I guess, but we've seen weirder things. And they say that basically these workers smelt an animal odor. Again, just hammering this point that it was an elephant. Scully says if it was an animal, that somebody would have definitely seen it. But Mulder says they wouldn't be here if that was the case. He says that there's no signs of cars crashing in this street. But he does say that maybe it was a tornado over the area. It is tornado season, or possibly a black hole, as it is black hole season. So, ever the Joker.
Yeah.
Scully sort of laughs at this.
I don't mean to be that guy. I don't mean to be the stick in the mud.
Oh yeah.
But doesn't he actually say it could be a black hole, but it's not black hole season?
That is correct.
That's the joke.
That's
that's why it was funny. What you said wouldn't have been funny. So, good job you're not writing the X-Files. You've got notes.
So this is the last episode of... She asks if it was an invisible elephant, sort of jokingly.
Yeah.
And Mulder says, well, he did see David Copperfield make the Statue of Liberty disappear once.
Did that happen?
I have no idea. This was... I imagine it was probably... David Copperfield was like the David Blaine of his time. I'm aging myself now because David Blaine's not been here for God knows how long. But yeah, I guess, I don't know, like these sort of bigger and bigger magic tricks. I imagine.
I seem to remember something about it, but I mean, I'll have to have a look into that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe to an audience he made it disappear. I can't imagine.
No. Something's going on there.
Yeah. I don't think he did it. We'll see. We then see a new character, Ed Meacham. He introduces himself, and he's from the Fairfield Zoo. He says he was late as they were transporting Ganesha, which is the elephant's name's body. And he says that Ganesha was a 12-year-old Indian female, and she appeared to have died from exhaustion from running. He says the arcade was locked tight, and there's no signs of tampering, so he doesn't know how this elephant got out. And Mulder starts bringing up this theory about the elephant rebellion, which... Have you ever heard of this?
No, I hadn't.
This was new to me, which is apparently sort of a case where a lot of elephants around America, I assume. I don't think he says exactly where, but basically they started all rebelling on their owners
at the same time. Yeah. But didn't the same thing happen with the killer whales in SeaWorld? Like over a 6-month period, there was like 3 attacks, wasn't there?
I can't remember, to be honest. Was that recently, or...?
No. This is before, like, Blackfish and whatnot.
Oh, okay. I don't know, yeah, I've not seen...
Yeah.
Not heard of it, but...
That kind of depresses me, that story.
What, about the killer whales?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it depresses me.
Which probably cannot call them killer whales. They give them a bad rep.
What are they actually called?
Orcas.
Orcas, yeah, of course. But yeah, that kind of depresses me, because obviously it's a depressing story, the whole Blackfish and whatnot. But, like... I went to Florida when I was a kid, and I went to SeaWorld, and I loved it. Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. I've got such good memories of Shamu and stuff like that. And it's just such sleed now.
Yeah.
Like, I can't look back on it fondly. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I almost want to keep those memories. Like, obviously, I don't want any orcas to be, like, in captivity. I'd love it all to end now. But I'd love those memories that I had to be unsullied. It's a weird feeling.
To be fair, though, as a kid, you're just naive to the fact that you just...
No, but to be fair, like, if I didn't know about it, I'd probably, like, if I went yesterday, I'd be like, Shamu, Shamu, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't... I suppose, once you're educated, it just ruins it for you, I suppose, yeah. Anyway, sorry to bring up that depressing subject.
I'm trying to think of anything else like that, where it's sort of... when you learn about it, you're like, oh, it's kind of... sad.
There is, I mean, a good case is not sad as such, but like, remember, like actors who shame themselves in one way or the other, and then
Kevin Spacey films now are hard to watch.
Exactly, and there's some great films. Like
I watched Baby Driver afterwards, and it was like, this was a great film. But
I wish I didn't know about
I could
that.
just erase him.
like 7.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a great film 7 is, but you know what I mean? It's so weird. It just ruins it for you.
Yeah. That seems to be happening a lot lately as well. Which is,
Well, I'll tell you what. If any of the listeners out there have got anything that they used to love, and maybe they still love it, but it's just sullied a little bit by something that's happened or something they've learnt about, get in touch. Let us know. Because I think that's a good talking point.
To be fair, it's one of those. I had this conversation ages ago with a friend of ours, Aid. I try my best to try and separate art from the artist.
Yeah, you've got to.
Because one of my favourite games as a kid was something called Skull Monkeys.
Okay.
And I
apt for this episode.
I know. Yeah, well, I absolutely loved it. But the creator has quite recently come out as really, really, really right wing, to the point where it's ultra conservative, doesn't like this, that, and the other. And it's sort of knowing that makes me go,
Yeah.
But I try and separate that because I love the game so much.
Yeah.
But,
well, you've got to.
It's sometimes you're like, do I want to support? If they made a new one, I do want to support that.
That's the thing. Yeah. This is my thing. I'm hypocritical, and I know I'm hypocritical because I'm very much of the same opinion as you. I will try and separate the art. I think Quentin Tarantino is a bell end.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but I don't think he's a very nice man.
Yeah.
I think he's quite a horrible man, to be honest, from the stories I've heard. But he's made some amazing films, and I don't want to lose those films from my life. So I separate the art. He's a great filmmaker. He just happens to be not a very nice person. And so that's my stance. Separate the art from the actor. But I'll still turn Lost Prophets on every time a song comes on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll
turn them on? Or?
No, turn them off, sorry.
Oh, right.
So if a song comes on, I don't know, the radio or something like that, I'll change the channel. Because I just don't want to listen to them.
Do they put them on the radio anymore?
I mean, I don't know whether they do, to be fair. But you know what I mean? Whenever you hear the song, I'm just like, I don't want to listen to that. Because it feels weird to me. Yeah. So I suppose you've got your own lines, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it really depends on how much you... it depends on what the person actually did.
To an extent, yeah.
If it's ultra criminal, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a bit frowned upon, you sort of what's his name? Woody Allen. Woody Allen's made some great films, but didn't he marry his daughter or something weird like that?
I don't know enough to throw around accusations on a podcast.
I know there's some weird story about it because I've heard someone talking about it. Again, this might be
slander.
I don't think he's going to pick.
No, I don't think so. It's fine.
But yeah, he's made
allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, that absolves your.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that. He's made some of the best films of all time, but then it's sort of it's some weird stuff. But again, it's not criminal.
No,
it's just
I know.
Weird, you know what I mean?
It's very strange.
Yeah.
It is very strange. But
it's a weird world we live in.
It is.
Well, do you know what's a weird world?
Go on.
The X-Files world.
It is.
It is.
Have we got any episodes to talk about?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, let's talk about that then.
We cut to the Fairfield Zoo, and we see some penguins, some lovely little penguins.
Little penguins.
Let's get rid of all this bad talk.
Yeah,
how cool are penguins?
They are cool. Would we still like them if they turn out to be racist?
Does a penguin have the capacity to hate based on?
I suppose their view would be it doesn't matter if you're black and white. Because they're blacker. What else happened, Luke?
Man.
What I did there was I cleverly turned the song, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, and I changed it to black and white, because penguins are famously black and white, and that made it funny.
Anyway, we see some penguins, not racist.
Not racist.
Hopefully. We also meet Willa in a foresty enclosure. So they're inquiring about the elephant, and Willa says that she thought that the eyewitnesses' claims that they didn't know how the worker was killed, basically. And Mulder says that they're just trying to find out how this elephant escaped. She asks what Ed says, or what Ed has said to them, and after being told what he'd said, she says, what more can I say? So she's quite tight-lipped on it as
Yeah.
well.
She seems cagey, to be fair.
Yeah, a lot, and she's cagey for the rest of this episode on everything, and we find out why, but anyway. Mulder says that they aren't looking to place blame, they just want to understand all the facts. We then see them at Ganesha's cage. She says that only her and Ed have keys, and Scully asks why this is such a small pen.
It is tiny.
Yeah, it is a really small, like, sort of cage area.
Yeah.
And Willa says that they were built in the 40s, and they're too confining, and one of Willa's jobs was to try and get this expanded.
Yeah, it looks like they brought her in to sort of help progress the zoo into sort of a better environment for the animals.
We see some chains on the floor, and Mulder asks about them. Willa said that she, as one of her first acts, disallowed their use here by Ed. She specifically says by Ed. And she says that, because they start asking about the relationship between the two, she says that Ed doesn't like her, a woman, being his boss. So we find he's quite old-fashioned from these questions. And they ask if he would let her out as a sort of an act of revenge. But she said unlikely, because they're in danger of losing funding. Yeah. And they're already undercut as it is, basically. She also says that Ed also has enough to deal with the WAO, which is the Wild Again organisation. Mulder explains that they're a group who hate animals being confined. Yeah. So just a bit of exposition to let us know who these are.
The cage was locked still after the elephant escaped, and if only them to have keys. The suggestion is that maybe they was involved, but how would they be with that? I suppose that's sort of...
They get around. So
yeah, I guess that theory is like debunked straight away.
Yeah.
Or detrunked.
Wow, we were in for a wild ride tonight, guys.
Oh, come on. That was good. I enjoyed that one.
Animal puns yes or animal puns no on Twitter. Just let us know. Along with our much loved idea of a musical episode, we'll get some more feedback on that.
Yeah, I suppose.
I know.
I mean, come on, you're telling me that you've wrote all the notes of this episode and you've not put one animal pun in there. I'll be disappointed if I don't hear one throughout the episode.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what I can come up with.
Okay.
I don't know. We then see construction site Highway 24, and among the debris from the previous night's accident, Scully and Mulder are talking to Kyle Lang, who is the leader of the local WAO group. Mulder and Scully are examining some photos that were taken of Ganesh lying on the road when they're speaking to him. And he says, only tragedy can come from keeping animals captive. And he says that the cage she was in was too small for her. He used the analogy of it would be like a human living inside a pickle barrel. Yeah. Which is quite, when you hear it described in those terms, it's quite, I mean, you think, oh, it should, the cage was, it is small, but you think, oh, it should be fine for her, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, there's no room to move, so.
The one takeaway I took from this scene in general was, I hate these type of people. Not because of what they stand for, but because it's so hard. Like, what they stand for is a noble cause, but it's so hard to get behind it when you behave so superior to everybody else.
Like Peter, and it. Like, they've got.
Well, I mean, again, certain members of Peter, not everyone, of course.
It's because I completely agree.
It's a noble cause,
yeah.
But just when you're acting so superior to everyone else, and it's a real put off. It really is, and it's so hard to get behind that cause.
It's a lot of reasons to why there's such a negative outlook on veganism. I always find, like, if you speak to someone, air quotes, normal, who is also into veganism, it's an interesting, like, I used to know a load of people who were, and
but it's the people that preach, like, just preach at you for not following their lifestyle, and that can be off-putting. Again, it's not a bad thing, but it's just off-putting to...
I think it's just a natural human reaction to, as soon as someone lambasts you for your ideas, you just go, well, screw you. I'm just going to rail back at you as hard as they can.
Yeah.
They ask him if he liberated Ganesha based on his previous arrests, was being part of the WAO, and he just sort of avoids this question. And then he brings up that elephants are spiritual creatures. They bury their dead in elephant graveyards, and they also instinctively know in these graveyards where their ancestors lie. And he says that he will show them what Ganesha was running from. Now, I never knew that about elephants.
No,
I've heard about elephant graveyards, really from The Lion King.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know what they were, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hear these stories there, don't you? Of just animals being hyper aware of the surroundings, a lot more aware than you think you give them credit for.
That's the thing. I think, like we were just saying, how some people see themselves superior to people. We always naturally assume we're superior to animals, I guess, but maybe not in some cases, or maybe we're way of thinking too highly of ourselves.
I always find it strange that there's still, sorry, a bit of a sore subject, but there's still birds that don't fly over, some of the camps from the Nazi war. For World War II. Yeah. Some of the concentration camps, or the death camps. There's some of them where birds still don't fly over that area, and that's just crazy, isn't it?
Know, yeah.
It's been 80 years, and it's still set in them. It's crazy.
Yeah. We basically then see a video of an elephant being mistreated. And Kyle says that this is what Ed does to these elephants, and probably to all the other animals, actually. And he says that he's been doing this for years, and still is. And Kyle's looking for evidence. And we see this other guy who's watching on, this blonde guy. They don't name him. No. Mulder brings up Willa to Kyle, and says, and Kyle basically says that she's too preoccupied at the moment. She's fighting a lawsuit over a gorilla named Sophie. And he says that she rescued this gorilla about 10 years ago and raised her as her own. But the Malawi government now want her back. And he basically is of the opinion that she should give her back, saying that she's rescued her, but she's now just spending her life behind bars, essentially.
Yeah.
And all animals should run free. And Scully asks, even if that means that man got trampled, and he said, well, maybe you should have gotten out of the way.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, he did see all those things flying out the way. He could have just been like, Summit's heading this way, I can't see it. But he does have a point, I think, on that one.
Yeah, maybe.
Mulder doesn't see that.
I don't think it's the elephant's fault.
No.
So, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then again, it's literally invisible.
Yeah. He's invisible, but there's enough science to say that something's heading this way.
Literal signs flying through the air.
Literal signs.
Watch out. Caution.
You're gonna get crushed. But yeah, Mulder says that maybe he would have if he saw it coming. Yeah. So I guess the counterpoint there. Who's right? Who knows? Mulder in this narrative, so... But hey, I'm never going to have that debate.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Scully thinks that the WAO was involved in this.
They're the most probable, I would say.
Yeah, the most obvious suspect, I think. And naturally, because of that, we thought, it's probably not a good
Yeah,
thing.
Exactly. I think it's always that sort of path of least resistance for the first suspect. Yeah. And it tends not to be them. At least in this show.
It was like that, the one about the beginning of Colony.
Yes.
Where it was like, it's this preacher who hates abortion clinics. It's probably him. And he was like, no.
No, it's not.
It's actually an alien from outer space. So Scully thinks that they did it. Mulder says, what about the lack of evidence to suggest this? And Scully says that the lights that the construction workers used can restrict the ability to see in the dark, and the CCTV that had no footage on was quite old equipment. Mulder doesn't really buy it, and he says that the WAO are all talk and not actually involved. But Scully brings up the point that they did have night vision goggles. in their office, so they could try to do this again. Mulder says, "Okay, you keep an eye on them," and he says he needs to speak to the animals.
Yeah.
Now, I was.
It actually ends up. Yeah, he ends up does.
Well, yeah.
He ends up does. He actually ends up speaking to the animals as well.
Literally. Now, I was not prepared for this next scene.
Oh.
We immediately cut to a very up close Frohickey on a satellite call.
Yeah.
Who is with Byers, and he says, "Beam me up, Scotty." To Mulder. The lone gunman are back.
Yeah.
Always a good time when they're involved.
I don't know why, because like really, we've not seen that much of them, but I just love them anyway.
No.
They're such cool characters.
Well, I don't know if they're cool.
They're so uncool. They're cool.
Yeah. Mulder jokes to Frohickey that has he ever been told that the camera loves him? Mm-hmm. And he says, "Well, the cops at the Free James Brown rally told me that, so I can't imagine him in these situations." Mulder sort of laughs at this. He has quite a hearty chuckle, I find, at this. So I feel like he genuinely enjoys their company.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
that's the group. I think we've said this before. That's the group he'd be with if he wasn't an FBI agent.
Pretty much, yeah. He's the cooler one of their group. You know what I mean?
Who's the cooler one now? Ricky.
Out of their group?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. Probably say Byers. Byers is the most straight-laced, so he's by default the coolest. And he wears a suit. So.
He does wear a suit.
Yeah.
That makes it cool.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but Ricky's a ladies' man.
He is. But
well, he thinks he is.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. Byers asks how much this call is costing, and Mulder says that it's $150 an hour. And Frohickey says, "Oh, well, that's as much as Clinton's haircuts."
Well, they should get some Skype.
In 95?
Yeah. On the internet.
Feel like you reach it. To be fair, like at this time, you can barely load a page.
I know, yeah.
This is pretty
advanced.
Cutting edge stuff, yeah. I did like a little jab at Clinton here.
Yeah.
I do wonder as well. I think we've mentioned this before. It's on the Fox network, who are their news network is you know as Republican.
Yeah,
I do wonder if they're sort of like every now and again like just go on,
just throw a jibe out there for us.
And he was the president at the time as well, I suppose.
I think it's more just topical.
Yeah, I guess
more than anything else.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah, I don't think there's a big Fox News conspiracy involved.
Oh, never.
Be interesting though. That'd be a good plot point. You know what I mean? If like I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Taking down a news agency.
Yeah. Langley isn't in the call, and apparently this is because he doesn't like the image of doesn't like the idea of his image being beamed up to satellites.
He is not going to like the future.
Yeah. He would be one of these people who does not have a smartphone.
No,
I mean, like will not
tinfoil hat in the woods somewhere.
Yeah. The future's scary if you're like that kind of person.
Yeah,
because now it's not even governments that are spying on you. You're willingly giving up your permissions to Google. You know what I mean? So
it's funny because we have very different opinions on this.
Do you know what? I've relaxed my opinions.
Oh yeah. See, back in the day, we had quite a few discussions, didn't we, about because I'm not really fussed. Like I'm happy to be monitored. Or like, what am I doing? That makes a difference.
Do you know where I draw the line at? Like this is where my opinion is now. It's like if you willingly give up your privacy, like in Google, if you like, I've got Google Home that's listening to us now. Probably,
it is.
Well, or allegedly is. I don't know. That's like I know the risks. But the technology benefits outweigh the freedoms you give up, I suppose.
Well, you're not really giving up any freedoms, are you? You're just giving up
the freedom of privacy, you know. But anyway, it's where it's unconsented, you know what I mean? Where your information is being passed to someone without your knowledge or consent. That's the only time where I'm like, that's a bit sketchy, but what can you do?
Yeah, especially today. Like honestly, like there's got to be thousands of databases with all of our personal information and what to sell to us and what to show us. And
do you know what? Like,
I honestly, I'm almost past the point of caring, and I know it's a really bad attitude to have, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not getting into trouble. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make a difference to my life.
No, that's the thing. It's just like that's literally where I draw the line now. It's like if I've got a smartphone and I'm like signing up to like Apple's services, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't, because I
I
know I'm doing it.
I remember the debate we had a couple of years back was when when there was like a lot of terror threats, and I remember Apple had this big lawsuit of whether they can give the police a backdoor to their systems so they can find people's phones if they needed to. And at the time, you wasn't a fan of this because
to be fair, I'm still of that opinion. Like, I'm still like, I don't. I feel like there's more damage they can do with it than without it. But
see,
anyway.
and my opinion was, well, if it means invading privacy of 1 million to save one, it doesn't make a difference. Like, if they know that I didn't shower yesterday, you know what I mean?
But to be fair, neither of us are militant about it. You know, some people are like, the lone gunmen are militant about it. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's why we get along so well, is because we can have different opinions on things and just have a discussion about them.
And usually take the piss out of each other.
That art has been lost. Yeah. It's been lost in present day because so many people where the attitude is I'm right, you're wrong, and there's no in between, and you can't have a good discussion about things anymore. And I feel like we're old fashioned in that sense.
Twitter and like the internet has made things so tribal.
Yeah,
like, it's like. Even, like, politics has always been tribal anyway. This is a complete tangent.
I know, yeah, sorry everybody.
But yeah, I mean, like, politics has always been tribal, but now it's ultra, like, you're always switched on. Like, there's people who have, like, searches on Twitter for terms, like, stuff that they agree or disagree with. The amount of times I'll, like, have tweets liked or something like that, because I'll do a joke about something, like, something that's, like, in the news. And it's like, oh, yeah, and you'll have loads of likes from these accounts that are just, like, pro your opinion. And it's like, do they sit there and just search for people who are, like, with them and then probably
dismiss everyone that's against them?
And it's like, you have to listen to both sides, really, sometimes. Like, that's how you ended up with, like, I think we even said after the Brexit decision, we were like, what? How does this happen?
It's like a popularity contest.
We were sort of, like, confused, but I think that's because you sort of, online, you sort of get narrow-minded to stuff. Yeah. And then when something happens that's what you didn't agree with or what you didn't think about, you're like, what? But whereas now, we just go, oh, that's weird. But now some people are like, actually, I'm going to tweet at everyone to tell them they're wrong.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but... yeah, the art of debate is gone now. You just have to fight.
Well, we can still debate.
We can still debate.
That's the main thing.
Send us a question. We'll debate it.
Will we?
Probably not. I feel like people are just like, just get on with the X-Files.
Let's go on with the X-Files. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just get on with the X-Files.
Let's do it.
I'll keep saying it.
Shall we get on with the X-Files?
Anyway.
On with the X-Files.
They ask why he's in Idaho, and he says about this zoo and about what's happened there. He says there's a lot of strange law, or they say there's a lot of strange law around there, and they say it's near an airbase, and what they say is a UFO hotspot. So this is the first inclination you get that this is some kind of alien story, which I was not expecting, to be honest. Like, when they were talking about the animal spirituality earlier on, I thought, oh, is this like a animal ghost? Or I thought like maybe it's going to be the ghost of an elephant that died there. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. And then they went, no, actually, it's an alien. I was like, what? It really took a left turn for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot holes I found in this episode. It is a bit strange. I mean, it's not a bad episode. No. It's just a bit of a weird one.
I'm sure I've had that criticism. And it was who's that little kid who used to do film reviews?
I've got no idea.
Lights, Camera, Jackson, I think. And he said his description of Inception was that it was not a bad film, it was just a really weird one. I don't know if a 10-year-old kid should be like reviewing Inception. I think it's 15, isn't it? What's going on? Anyway. Byers says that no animal at this zoo has ever come to term. And they start talking about Willa's... Put monkey here, it's a gorilla. They start talking about Willa's gorilla. Oh God, we're getting back onto the rhymes again. And they say that it knows sign language, and it apparently knows a lot of words in sign language. It's one of the most intelligent gorillas.
Yeah.
That is known of, basically. And someone calls Mulder at this point, and Frowicki asks if it's Agent Scully. And he says, if it is her, let her know that he's been working out. He's buff. I mean,
it's weird, but
never changed.
He's kind of a sweetheart.
Yeah. It's sort of, he's creepy in an endearing way.
Yeah,
like,
I know it will.
He's not offensively creepy. I mean, Kevin Spacey style creepy. You know what I mean? He's just But then again, this was 95. Maybe things have changed. But anyway, Scully's watching a WAO member now jump over one of the fences in the zoo. She follows him, and she actually loses him on the way there. But she runs into Ed, who's shocked that she's there. She tells him what's happening, and he tells her to follow him. We now see this WAO member, the blonde guy from earlier. He's in an enclosure. Outside we see Mulder turn up, and he's locked out, so he also jumps the fence. I thought this was a strange scene to show. We've just seen somebody jump the fence. I don't know why they needed to show that, but anyway. We see that this WAO guy is in a enclosure with tigers. Now, anyone who watches the X-Files knows that this is not going to go well for this guy. But yeah, we hear a weird noise, and then we start hearing all these animal noises as they all start to scream, basically. Or, do animals scream?
Yeah, they just get distressed, don't they, basically.
Yeah. We cut between Scully, Ed, and Willa, and they all look confused at these sort of noises. And Willa goes to the gorilla. That's going to become annoying. Sophie. Willa goes to Sophie to try and calm her down, and she signs at her. And we see this WAO guy filming this tiger, but then we see a bright white light. We look, and the tiger's disappeared. He looks around and is jumped by something that's unseen, and then we see the camera fall to the ground, and he's sort of attacked by something that we can't see again.
Yeah, like an invisible force. And again, you look at it and it's like, it does look like a tiger attack.
Yeah, and you can hear like the growls of the tiger and everything of it. So yeah, it's you know what it is, and now they've sort of said it's a UFO presence around there. You can kind of piece together roughly what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I at this point I was thinking about this like sort of animal spirit sort of story that I sort of like thought it might have been. I thought that would have been a more interesting story, I think, to tell. But
yeah, especially because we've just had a whole mythology arc about aliens.
Yeah, that's
I know what you mean. Didn't you find it weird that he entered the zoo despite the fact that the FBI are investigating?
I know, yeah. I mean, I keep my head down for a bit.
Yeah, I just found it a bit strange. But then I suppose the tiger can't change his stripes, can he?
We go to the WAO offices.
I literally put that tangent in to say that joke.
I could, as you were going, I was like, where's he going with this?
I mean, I amuse myself, and I suppose that's all that matters on a podcast designed for everyone else to listen to.
Well, if you can't laugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's all good.
I'm in my head just trying to think of any animal pun at the moment. I'll slot one in eventually.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Or maybe in post-edit, all of a sudden...
you have days to think about it.
Yeah, I'll be like, Do you know, like, when people... What's that called now? The wit of the staircases. It's like a French term for when you think of the perfect line after, like, an argument or after a joke or something like that, and you're like, it's too late now. Podcasting's brilliant for that, because I could just be like, I'll just record it in there. It's perfect. You can edit yourself to make you be the smartest man. I mean, I don't.
No.
The bloopers, I look like a moron. But, you know what I mean? But you got to keep it real. That's
you've got to keep it real. I feel like that's the best. This is when you get the best content.
Well, yeah. You get content.
You do get content.
And we'll let you be the judge. So yeah, we're now at the WAO offices, and Scully's questioning Kyle. They ask what that... They call him a kid, but I mean, he looked about mid to late 20s, so I don't know if he was a kid. But Kyle basically denies all knowledge of what had happened. He seems to have an answer for everything that they ask. And Scully says that a tiger is now missing, and a member of the WAO is dead. And she says his lack of emotion for such a principled man. She says that if she finds evidence that he was behind any of these escapes, that she'll make sure that he spends the rest of his life behind bars. So again, I think she's getting frustrated by this case of getting nowhere, basically.
Yeah.
And sort of makes a threat at this guy, which does sort of spook him, I find. So.
Yeah. It's he sort of withdraws a little bit at that point, doesn't he?
Mulder enters at this point, and then they both head off down the hallway. And she even says that Kyle really pisses her off.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is the first time they've actually... Have they swore in an episode before? I can't remember. I mean, piss isn't really a swear word.
Yeah, it's not really a swear word.
It's a 4-letter word, that's all you can
say. They've definitely sort of done those sort of, those half swear words. They've definitely done that before. But I think that it really drives home that Kyle's... Scully isn't the biggest fan of Kyle.
Yeah, definitely. Mulder starts to explain about the camera showing that he was killed by a phantom attacker, and says that he can't explain it. And Scully mentions that he does have claw marks over his body, and says that he knows someone who can explain this. They head to the zoo and they try and talk to Willa. And she basically says that she's got nothing to say, or nothing more to say in this investigation. And Mulder asks if he can meet Sophie, and we then see Sophie in her cage. This is the only point where you can tell that this is not a real animal.
I didn't like this. Again, I think I spoke to you about it before we started recording, but it just reminded me of Bollo from the Mighty Boosh. It's just so obviously a guy in a gorilla costume, and I think it looked a bit stupid, if I'm honest.
At the start of it, I did think, after you've just... I mean, understandably, they're not going to have a real gorilla.
They're not going to teach a gorilla to sign, are they?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But, yeah, initially it did look a bit silly, but... To its credit, by the end of the episode, I sort of forgot, and I sort of, because of the larger story towards the end,
you just rolled with it.
Yeah, I just sort of gave them a leeway with it. But anyway, I can understand if you were like, this looks ridiculous.
It just looked a bit weird. Yeah, that's all really.
After how they've managed to convince us that alien goo and stuff was real, it is a bit. Yeah, when you see a man in a gorilla suit, it does look quite fake, I guess. Anyway, she says that basically 6 weeks ago, she had to take Sophie out of her public habitat because she'd become sick. She said she's depressed, basically, and she would just shiver. And when they ask what she's afraid of or what's wrong, she says light, afraid, or that's what she signs. Scully is a bit annoyed that they've gone to talk to a gorilla as a credible evidence, as a credible witness. I don't think she believes that this is
a fair point, to be fair.
I mean, if you're an FBI agent and your partner says, we've got to talk to a gorilla, then you'd be like, okay, what are we doing?
She's not going to stand up in court, is she?
No. Mulder then notices these drawings on the wall and asks if these are Sophie's and what they mean. And Willa says that they represent a child, basically, and she says that Willa has always wanted a baby, but she says it's too stressful for her to find a mate. And at this point, Mulder asks if there's a
prime mate. Oh, I got you. You laughed at that one.
I'm just trying to stay as stern as possible on these now. I'm not giving in. But anyway, at this point, Mulder asks if there's a veterinary facility in a zoo. Yeah. Bit of a silly question, to be honest, I thought. And he says to Scully that he'll need her help on this one. And then we see them basically doing an autopsy on on Ganesha.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about what an autopsy on an elephant would look like. it was just so shocking that they were just stood in like the carcass of this elephant.
That's
it's
the
crazy.
thing, isn't it? It's like, a human autopsy, you stand over it. An elephant autopsy, I mean, you have to be inside it.
like I mean, obviously it makes sense, but it literally just hadn't crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Also, an autopsy on an elephant is not something that typically is needed to be done.
No, exactly.
But anyway, Scully says that this isn't exactly in her job description. And Mulder says, this was a weird line. He says that the next thing you'll know, they'll be doing this on MTV Sports.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, there was a show a couple of years ago where they did do autopsies on different animals.
Yeah, that was...
So I suppose he nailed it. It wasn't an MTV Sports.
That's what I mean. Like, I can understand the program. I just don't understand why he said MTV Sports.
Yeah,
I
suppose.
I don't know. Maybe MTV Sports in '95 was showing all kinds of weird programs.
The Animal Channel.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Willa says that the cavity's clear, and Scully starts looking basically inside of this elephant, and he starts asking about the lack of pregnancies to Willa, and she says that he's been talking too much to Kyle, and she says that it's difficult to bring a pregnancy to term in captivity. Most pregnancies, I think she says it's like 7% or something like that, when they come to term. And she does actually say that she understands that in this zoo that with a 0% success rate is bad, and that's one of the things she actually wanted to change joining the job. She says that only 6 elephants have been born in captivity in the last 10 years, which sort of shows how hard it is. I don't know if that's a true fact or not, but I'm taking it on face value here. That's quite shocking. Yeah,
it is shocking. And I can imagine it is a true fact, because otherwise it'd be a lot easier to get them out of the endangered. Yeah, you know what I mean? There'd be more focus on doing it. So I can imagine. Look at pandas.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, pandas are just notoriously hard to mate, I suppose, aren't they? So yeah. But anyway, Mulder starts looking at the... Is it Mulder that does this? I've written down Mulder starts looking at the uterus, but I would imagine it's Scully.
I think it's Scully,
yeah. I don't know why I wrote down Mulder there. Blame myself. Scully starts looking at the uterus, and she says that it does show signs that the elephant was pregnant, and Willa's shocked at this. And Mulder says that when you find this tiger, that the same evidence will turn up. We then cut to the Blake Towers construction site in downtown Boise. I think that's how they pronounce it, isn't it? And we see 2 workmen who are carrying some wood over the shoulder. They're talking about the betting on the game. He's sort of just general chit chat.
Yeah.
And then we hear a roar, and they both spin around. We cut to later on, and we see police arriving at the scene. Ed arrives, and he's got a gun, got a rifle. Willa and then Mulder and Scully both arrive together, or all 3 of them arrive together, and she tells Ed to put the gun down. She says that they can capture this animal without harming it, and she actually orders him to stand down, and he looks absolutely, what's the best word to say? Pissed off. Yeah, I mean, no other better word for it. He just looks annoyed by all this.
At the risk of being controversial,
oh dear.
Oh, I'm going to
put the klaxon here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Controversial opinion.
I don't know whether but I kind of understand his points. Mm-hmm. To the extent of, do you remember the Harambe situation? Yeah. Right. So for those who don't know, a child fell into a gorilla pen, a zoo, and the gorilla sort of picked this child up and sort of looked after it, basically, but you never know, and in the end, Harambe ended up getting shot and died. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Harambe.
Yeah.
But there was a huge debate about that, and I'm sort of the opinion that you had to shoot the gorilla because it's a human life at the end of the day. And I know it doesn't mean one or the other, but in that situation, you can't sacrifice the baby. The people to blame there are the parents for being stupid enough to let the child get into this pen. Do you know what I mean? And if there's a situation where both of them can get out, you would obviously take that. But like at this point, there's people's lives at risk. Someone's already close to death because of this elephant attack. Do you know what I mean? Like at the risk, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's a strange one. Like, are you happy to risk killing 3, 4, 5 workers because you want to save one animal? It's that weird balance. It's, I suppose, the trolley effect in it to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting debate. I don't think there's an easy answer.
No, there's not.
I think there's a lot of that. That's again what we're talking about here. People simplify things into good or bad, and it's like it's in the heat of the moment. It's a difficult decision to make of whether to say we'll kill this one animal to save 3 lives, or we'll attempt to save the animal but risk 3 lives. You know what I mean? It is difficult.
Well, to go
even more controversial. Should have shot the kid.
Oh, God.
I don't mean that. That was a joke.
Well, let's follow this tangent a little further, because I do find this very interesting, the sort of the psychology behind it. So do you know the trolley effect?
No.
Okay,
the
trolley problem, it's called, should I say. So basically the idea is, I'm sure you've probably heard it. So you're on a train, and there's a guy on the track, right? And you can choose... there's 4 guys on the track, right? And you can choose to pull the lever, and it would divert the train to the other one, but there's 1 worker on the track there. So the idea being, you could save 4 people, but you'd be actively choosing to kill this person. What would you do?
I mean, how old are these people?
You're just on the train. The workers. They're just workers and it's going at a fast pace. You've got a moment's decision. You can either pull that lever or not. What would you do?
Is one of the workers Donald Trump?
No, none of them Donald Trump.
Okay.
There is no right or wrong answer. But like, what would you do?
I mean, if you know nothing, if you can't tell anything about the people, and they're all, let's all just say they're all 20.
Yeah.
They all have no kids and no family. I guess you have to go on numbers, don't you? So at that point,
you'd pull the lever.
You'd pull the lever.
Yeah, I think that's where the general consensus, you'd pull the lever. Mm-hmm. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The same question, there's no lever though. On a train track, there's a train going and there's 4 workers below. They don't know the train's coming. You're stood on a bridge over top. And there's quite a large man on this bridge with you. He's sat on the side, dangling his legs. And you know for a fact that if you pushed him onto the track, his body would stop the train enough so that the workers would get away. Would you push this man?
How big is this?
Let's run with it. Just run with it.
Okay.
This man is stocky enough that it would stop the train. Would you push him? That's more difficult, isn't it? That's
way more difficult, because then you are killing someone actively.
And it's the way you perceive fault. It's such an interesting debate, and I really find that fascinating.
I do like that analogy, though. If there's a big guy on top, he might stop the train.
Honestly, they teach this in psychology classes. It's a genuine, interesting debate, and it's the whole theory behind it is that if you can pull yourself away from that situation and explain it to yourself almost, then you're more likely to do the logical thing, whereas if you've actually got to live with the problem, then you'll do the emotional thing. It's very strange. It's interesting.
I've seen that one described as well before, of like, if I think it was like if a mother and a child walked out in front of the road and you swerved and there was an old woman walking across.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another kind of
very
thing. It's like,
similar.
would you swerve? And it's like, most people would say, yeah, that woman is, let's say this woman was 80 odd.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a brand new life and a young mother. Again, you're sort of condemning someone to death.
Yeah.
But you sort of, in the moment, you're like, which is the worst out of these 2 shitty situations?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Which is exactly like this situation here, which this guy's got to make a decision of, do I kill an endangered species or risk 4 guys dying?
I mean, the one about... this made my
You're
brain...
still stuck on this man.
Pushing the bloke over. You've got enough time to go. Get out of the way! If you're pushing if you're
Not
pushing
in this
a
theoretical
man,
situation.
if you're pushing a man who can physically stop a train off a bridge, that's going to take a lot of pushing. You've got enough time to tell these people, move out the way, there's a train coming.
Not in this theoretical situation,
Well, they shouldn't come up with theoretical situations that could never theoretically happen. But anyway.
Let's get on with the X-Files.
So yeah, she orders him to stand down, as I mentioned. And they head in, and Willa has a tranquilizer gun, which, again, you were saying about this theoretical situation.
Yeah.
Tranquilizer gun in this situation would probably not help.
Yeah.
Because tranquilizers do take like 2 minutes, I think, to kick in, depending on how big the animal is. So, in this situation, probably better to have a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, but you always see this in like TV shows and stuff like that. Somebody shoots with a tranquilizer and they're like down straight away. I think even in people, like it takes like a good minute before it kicks in properly. So, but anyway, it's a program. Mulder says that he's not sure how this tiger got across town without being seen. But he says that they need to find it before Meacham does. We then see the tiger in the building, and there's these two men hiding up in like the rafters, basically. Willa sneaks in the dark, and the hiding man tells her that the tiger had just been here. We then see her sneak round a corner, and she finds the tiger, and as soon as she sees it, it runs straight at Willa.
Yeah.
It jumps, we hear a gunshot, and Mulder and Scully run in, and we see that it was Ed who had shot the tiger and killed it. And Ed says that they don't all talk and draw pictures, and then walks off. Bit of a callous response.
I feel like it's more just him sort of feeling justified in what he was planning to do anyway, because funnily enough, despite her not wanting to shoot it, she'd be dead if he hadn't have pulled the gun. That
is true, yeah. We then cut to the zoo. We see the sign saying the zoo's closed. It doesn't say the zoo's closed. It says zoo closed to the public until further notice. We're then inside this sort of like meeting room, and a board meeting is just wrapped up, and they're telling Willa that they're withdrawing all funding, which is what they
expected. Let's be honest.
Yeah, two animals.
A zoo that can't keep the zoo animals. Yeah, it's not going to work.
So Mulder enters, and then she says that she doesn't have a job anymore, and all the animals are being shipped out. She said this couldn't be any worse, especially for Sophie. Her position at the job was the only hope that she had of keeping Sophie. And Mulder says that they must have done forensics on the tiger, and he says that she was also pregnant. She says that it's impossible. And Mulder says that maybe they were inseminated elsewhere. And then he asks if she knows anything about alien abduction. Drops the big A word.
Yeah. No? He gets the same reaction every time he does.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand why he hasn't learned at this point that most people are going to laugh at you if you say, well, it could be aliens. And she laughs. He doesn't break a smile. And this is when she realises that he's serious. He says that the animals are being taken unexpectedly and dumped over 2 miles away. And he also says that maybe the animals' embryos are being taken as some sort of alien Noah's Ark. And he says this might be why there's no animals, why none of the animals have ever been pregnant here.
Yeah.
And she just flat out says that this is ridiculous.
Which it is a little bit. The theory, out of the blue, it's a bit weird.
If this wasn't the X-Files, it'd be laughable.
Yeah.
He says that she could ask Sophie, and he thinks that maybe she's pregnant and they're coming for her baby, and that's what she's scared about. Not that that she isn't. She's looking for a child, basically. So they go to speak to Sophie, and Sophie signs that Mulder and Scully might be trying to hurt her or Willa. She asks about Sophie's baby, and Sophie visibly starts getting upset. Sorry, the idea of a gorilla getting visibly upset.
Well, gorillas have emotions too.
I know. It's just that I've got like a imagine of a tear just rolling down her cheek. Mulder asks he asks Willa to ask if she wants to leave here. And she says light afraid again. And she asks what she's afraid of with this light, and she signs baby go flying light. this is a better witness than some of the people that we've seen. It's so accurate. Like, well, that's obviously an alien. You know what I mean? Like, in 4 words, it's giving you everything you need to know about the plot. Scully comes in and she's basically saying that a deputy for the police has come to serve papers to retrieve Sophie. The deputy then comes in, proceeds to do that.
Yeah.
Mulder says that she can't leave her here now for her own safety. So he's worried that she's going to be abducted.
Yeah.
We then see a car pulling up at the WAO building, and it's Willa, and she goes to ask Kyle for help with Sophie.
Yeah. Putting the differences aside for the sake of Sophie.
He says that she should let her go and be free, and she snaps and says to be free to be killed by poachers, which is depressing, to be honest. And you think that you're like, yeah, I mean, she is right. Like, it probably would be killed. And she even says, like, they'd chop off her hands for ornaments.
Yeah. Once again, there's no right answer here. It's a really tough situation.
We're the problem in both situations.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, he says that she'll be put into a preserve in Africa and looked after, basically. And she asks if there's any type of preserve in this country that she can be put into, and she tells him that she is pregnant. And he sort of is shocked about this, but he sort of says, regardless, she doesn't belong here in this country, and she needs to be with other gorillas. And he says that he basically won't help her, and at which point she leaves and storms off. We then see Ed in sort of this warehouse driving a fork truck with animals in different cages. We see Mulder watching on. And Scully enters, and she found a news clipping in Willa's drawer with a picture of her and Kyle together.
Yeah.
So this is
before all of this happened.
Yeah. So it's a while ago. So we find out that she was probably a member of this group beforehand. Willa enters, and we see Sophie getting again mad, and Willa tries to calm her down. It's now nighttime at the zoo, and we see a car pull up at the doors, and it's Kyle.
So has he decided to help?
Well, that's what it seems to imply.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's come to see Willa. He's calling for her through this warehouse. Who's left the door open?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it's got lacks now. There's no funding. Like, I don't care. If they all get out, whatever.
If someone steals the animals, it's not our job for us.
Yeah. But he finds Willa's office is empty. So this is where he's in the warehouse looking at all these animals. And then he's looking around. He finds Sophie has been let out of a cage or box or whatever she's in. And as he turns around, he gets hit by this bolt of electric, basically, flies back and hits a set of boxes. And one on the top falls off and, falls onto him as we see it sort of head towards the camera. We then see Willa has been questioned by Mulder and Scully. And she says it happened exactly like the tiger. The animal started going crazy, so they went to check on Sophie, and then she found out that she was gone, and Kyle was found in the way that he was found. She says she doesn't know what he was doing there, and she does say, because they mentioned that she was at his office, she said she was there and wanted to tell him that he'd won, basically, that the zoo was being shut down and Sophie was taken.
Still, even at this point, still shady, still hiding things.
Yeah, she's obviously lying through a lot of it.
Despite the fact that he's got injured, you know what I mean? Or
exactly.
Worse, even, maybe.
She then lies, because they ask if he'd help, if Carl would help, and she lies and says that she hadn't asked him for this. And Scully says that she knew that he basically helped her rescue him originally and knows about their connection. And Scully asks why he wanted to give her a note, which we didn't know about a note before. She opens it and it says, "Willa, let's talk, Kyle."
Yeah.
She then sort of snaps and says, "Why didn't you ask Mulder what he thinks has happened?"
Yeah. Which, to be fair, it's a good comeback.
Scully's face says everything.
You're always undermining me, Mulder.
Always with this fucking alien shit. Mulder asks if they can talk for a second, so they go outside. And Mulder thinks that Willa knows exactly where Sophie is, and that Kyle died because he knows what she's capable of. It's plausible. Scully's not convinced, and Mulder says that she should examine the body while he goes to check on the warehouse. We then see Mulder in the warehouse looking around the boxes. We see the padlock for Sophie's cage open, and we hear a noise, and we see Ed is closing up and heading off.
And the padlock's been opened, not like broken.
Yeah, it's just been unlocked, yeah.
We learned from the beginning who has the keys.
Exactly, yeah.
Or the monkeys. Last one.
I mean, you might be able to sneak one in.
You haven't got one yet, so...
No. We see Ed driving somewhere at night. He gets out of the car, gun in hand, and he enters another warehouse as Mulder watches on. We then cut to see Willa packing up as Scully walks in. She says there's nothing to hang around for here. Scully thinks that she thinks Kyle died a wrongful death, as she found out in the autopsy that he was hit with a cattle prod. And this is where Willa basically...
She's been caught up.
Yeah. She understands that, it's going to point back to her. So she says that it was an accident. Kyle just surprised Ed. He wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So you can tell now that she's come up with this secondary plan after Kyle.
Yeah, she's turned to Ed because it's the only person left that could help.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm surprised Ed helped.
I know, yeah.
Ed probably, we'd probably shoot her.
Yeah. Something just blast her like when everything's gone. And we find out that Ed took Sophie and said that no one else. She had no one else to run to. She said Sophie is in a building on the road to Boise. This is where we see Ed in this building. Mulder jumps him, tells him to put his gun down. And he says that he didn't kill Kyle. He only did what he was paid to do. And he also says that Sophie's down the hall. They both head there to find her. They go to the room she's in. But she's just going crazy in there, basically. She's thrown herself up against the door. They look inside, and Mulder says that she's scared, and Ed says that she's going to kill herself if she carries on this way.
Yeah.
He says to Ed that Ed will have to save her, and he gives him a tranquilizer gun. They head in, and he says that he'll need Mulder's light, because he's only got one dart in this gun. And again, this is where I thought, well, it wouldn't stop her anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, real life, sometimes you just have to, like the monkey suit, the gorilla suit, sorry, that's offensive. You have to sort of put that aside when you know like the science behind it, because it's like, science can ruin stories.
It is what it is, yeah, exactly.
Sophie charges at them and knocks down Mulder, and Ed just runs and locks Mulder in.
I know, yeah.
I mean,
every man for himself, straight away.
To be fair, he's very much this type of character, I think. And this is where it was quite dark in this scene, so it's quite hard to see what was actually going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mulder says later that Sophie signed to him, and I didn't see it when it happened. I didn't notice this first time. No.
I tried to turn up the brightness as much as I could, but I was watching on my phone, and there's only so much you can do.
I was the same. I didn't notice it myself. I just saw her. She sort of just backs away from him, doesn't she?
Exactly, yeah. So Mulder basically tries to reason with her, and she grabs him and drags him along the floor, but much like the Harambe situation. She watches him and sits down, and this is where she makes this sign language. Again, I didn't see it, but we find out later on that she definitely did this. We then hear this whooshing sound, and then a flash of light, and then Mulder passes out. Scully wakes him up, and we find that Sophie's gone missing. It says that she says that Ed was arrested on the way to Boise, and this is how they found where Mulder was. She says that Willa's already made a statement about Kyle.
Yeah.
He says that he needs to talk to her right away. So they go outside, find her in the police car, and then Mulder shows her the sign that Sophie did while she was saying that she was gone.
Yeah.
And as he signs these signs back to her, Willa says that it doesn't make any sense. She's basically saying, man save man.
Yeah.
Now, this doesn't make any sense until the very end of what she was trying to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Quite poetic for a gorilla.
I know, yeah. Like, we've got a regular little poet. Got a philosophical mind.
The radio says that they found a large animal on the road, and Willa says that she was heading towards the zoo on that road. So they drive towards this. They drive towards the site. There's tons of police there, and the cop basically says the animal got hit by a car and then ran off into the field.
Yeah.
To which Willa just at this point just runs off towards the field, and this is where they find Sophie dead in the field.
Sad to see.
This is what I mean. Like, initially, I did think the gorilla suit was stupid, but to be honest, seeing how close of a connection it was between her and Willa, it did I sort of let it go, and I was like, oh, okay, this is quite sad. Towards the end.
It was quite sad.
And Ambrose is sobbing. We then cut to Mulder and Scully as they drive away for the final scene, and we hear Mulder's report, and I'll just read it verbatim pretty much because it's quite prophetic.
Yeah.
Willa Ambrose and Ed Meacham have been charged with manslaughter for the death of Carl Lang. And though the court will rule on this matter, and justice will no doubt be served, the pall of a greater tragedy remains. The motives of the silent visitors who set these events in motion remain unclear. Could this be a judgment on a global rate of extinction that has risen to 1,000 times its natural rate in this century? An act of alien conservation of animals we are driving hard towards oblivion? And if so, might it follow that our own fate and existence could finally be dependent upon the conservatorship, that's a long word, of an extraterrestrial race, or in the simple words of a creature whose own future is uncertain, will man save man? And they drive past a sign that says, on a church basically, that says, man has no preeminence above a beast, for all is vanity.
Yeah. It's interesting, this one, because I didn't really pick up on the hints throughout the story. I just thought it was like a little bit of an interesting story. I didn't think there was a massive point to be made, but it's quite obvious at the end that this whole episode is built to make the point that about the way man, should I say, deal with animals and how we should be trying to conserve. What's the word? Conservate. Basically look after animals and try and help endangered species, etc. So and it makes sense in that regard. The whole episode does drive that point home. Albeit with aliens.
I mean, it wouldn't be X-Files if it didn't have a
exactly
in there. But no, I quite like the ending and the message at the end, because I think it is always the point of or it's always the duty, I find, of good TV shows to sort of make to have a message sometimes.
Yeah, it's very Fable-like, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's... I always find, there's always a message in any story, I suppose, whether it's, obvious or subtle in the background. But, yeah, sometimes these TV shows, books, whatever else, need to make these messages to make you think and actually think about what people are doing in the world, I suppose. So it's quite an interesting message at the end. Again, it was a bit on the nose, right? A
little bit at the end, yeah.
But I get what I could see what they were doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the end of the episode. What did you think?
Again, I think I've said it earlier on. It was all right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't a special episode for me personally, and it didn't break any boundaries. But it wasn't bad either.
No,
there was nothing offensive about it. It was just one of them.
It was a good cool down after quite an intense two-parter.
Maybe if I was watching it as a binge, I was watching it all in one go. Maybe you'd need something like that after the last couple of episodes. but watching it week to week, it almost felt like a little bit of like too slow after what we'd already seen, and maybe that was why I wasn't a big fan of it. But regardless, it wasn't bad, it wasn't good. It's just a nice run of the mill episode, I'd say.
I'd say so. I thought like the first half was quite weak, to be honest. But yeah, I think the emotional ending of it sort of saved the episode for me. But if you were looking at episodes to skip, this is a very easy one to skip.
Yeah,
I think
it's skippable.
Yeah, but yeah, that was this episode really.
Yeah.
So it's that time of this week, that time of the week, where we go into
Luke's production notes.
So, co-producer J.P. Finn later revealed that the trickiest part of this episode was securing the use of an elephant, as this necessitated the show securing a permit for the animal to pass into Vancouver. The producers hit another roadblock when it came to animal cruelty laws, several of which had been passed in British Columbia that prohibited the use or appearance of large animals like elephants to protect them from being exploited by unscrupulous circuses. In order to circumvent these rules, scenes filmed with Bubbles, who's the elephant, obviously, but was shot on a quiet country road in South Surrey. I'm imagining in America, where these laws were not in effect.
Interesting. Yeah, it is interesting that you would. I can imagine there'd be so many roadblocks put in your way. You almost wonder whether it was worth the hassle.
Yeah,
she wasn't a vital part of the plot, was she?
No. But then again, you do hear these sometimes, like the production crews set themselves sort of challenges of like, well, this isn't plot heavy, so maybe we could go for the effects.
And it made for a great visual. So I suppose
to be fair, that was probably the best bit of the episode. Is that like the elephant staring down in the truck?
Visually looked stunning. So yeah.
Finn later revealed that the elephant used for the episode named Bubbles was fantastic to work with. The producers were initially worried that the elephant would be scared of large vehicles and would thus not run towards the truck, a necessary shot for the episode's opening. However, the producers ended up having difficulty getting the creature away from the truck as it enjoyed running near it.
Oh, I like elephants.
They're a good animal.
They're lovely.
Let's not start that again. In the episode, the elephant is named Ganesha after the Hindu god of the same name. That was my year 9 RE kicking in there. I remember that.
I figured that out. Yeah. Isn't the god Ganesh? I think Ganesha.
I think you can pronounce it either
way. Can you?
Okay. Or Ganesh is like an English translation of Ganesh.
Fair enough. Yeah.
One way or the other. A live tiger was also used in the episode, and the production crew struggled with keeping it calm and warm, given that Vancouver's climate was drastically different from the one in which tigers evolved to thrive.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a Siberian tiger, it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
But not a Bengal.
No.
But anyway, the episode's title comes from a line in the William Blake poem, The Tiger. Now,
okay.
I have the poem here.
Oh.
Would you like me to read it?
No.
That's ruined that segment.
Go on then, Luke. Read us the poem.
In my new one-off segment. Luke's Poetry Corner.
Oh, I love it.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinew of thy heart? And when thy heart begin to beat, what dread hand of what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp, dare its deadly terror clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb made thee? And he nearly made it then. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare theme thy fearful symmetry? Man.
Bravo!
Oh,
Bravo! That was brilliant. Can we have that every week?
I mean, if there's another one named after poetry, I'll definitely bring it back.
Bring Luke's Poetry Corner
Luke's
back.
Poetry Corner, yeah.
Why do you get all the segments? Luke's Production Notes, Luke's Poetry Corner. How's this fair?
I don't know. I don't make the rules. And one last note.
Okay.
The fictional, and this sort of leads on from that, the fictional construction site where the tiger appeared, Blake Towers, is named after the poet.
Nice.
So there we go. Sort of
I like that little. I like that little bit of a fact.
It's made
I didn't know where the title came from.
I'd never heard of it before. To be fair, like listening to when I read the poem, I was like, I have heard of the poem before.
You've read it before.
Yeah. I don't know if I've heard all of it, but at least like the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the production notes for this week.
Fantastic.
Oh man, that was a good ending, I thought. If I did say so myself. So yeah, that's the end of the episode this week. Next week we're looking at an episode we mentioned before because it stars a ship which was used in the last two episodes.
Oh yes, I remember now. Yeah.
So this is Dodcom, episode 19.
You know what? Whenever you say that, the episode, I always think you're Tommy Wiseau trying to tell me how to get onto an internet site.
Dodcom. That does sound like that. Very much does sound like you, man. I mean, if you've never seen a scene with Tommy Wiseau in, just type in best scenes from The Room. You'll have a field day.
So good.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So next week we've got Dodcom. Checks.
You can't stop hearing that, can you? It's definitely Tommy.
Dodcom. Yeah. No checks.
Yes.
You've said that your phone is dead.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So this is going to make this very interesting and possibly very difficult.
Ooh, what is it?
How are you going to say goodbye this week, and in what language?
Oh, sugar. Actually, it's not that difficult.
Go on.
In the theme of this week's episode, okay. I'm going to say goodbye in sign language. And there you have it. Goodbye, everybody.
He didn't